right. Like Elaine said, my name is Cpl Pollen. I'm a police corporal with the Clermont Police Department. I'll try not to speak too fast. I am from Jersey, like a lot of people here, apparently. So I do speak a little bit fast, and I'll try to slow down a little bit and enunciate my words. Funny story, I was told that I'm going to be here. I was told that I was going to be attending a conference. I wasn't aware of it up until I was told about 2 weeks ago. And then it finally evolved into, hey, you're going to be speaking. And I was like, okay, I could come up and say a little something. And then I found out that it's an actual presentation, like a TED Talk, which scared me. And I was like, okay, so now I need to create a PowerPoint presentation in 2 weeks. That's going to make an impact in 15 minutes. So let's see if I can do this, okay? Is my head shiny enough for everybody? Can everybody see where I am on the stage? I'm going to give you a workout because I'm going to be moving around a lot. So, yeah? Well, there's wigs in the back if you want me to put one on. So, all right. So, like I said, my name is Cpl Pollen. I'm a police corporal with the Clermont Police Department. Uncanny, looks just like me. These are some of the things I do over in Clermont. I'm in the Community Services Division. Within that division, I'm in the Mobile Crisis Response Unit. So I'm generally partnered with a licensed therapist, and we respond out to calls, and we help individuals who are suffering from crises, and we try to redirect them from arrest or Baker Act, because both are bad, right? So police officers have a habit of asking, what's wrong with you rather than what happened to you, right? That's my goal. Aside from this, I'm the hostage negotiations team leader, intelligence liaison officer, so my job is to collect and to disseminate information from around the state, country, and local area to our officers so that we have the best intelligence to be able to solve crime. Also a field training officer, and I'm a part of the FDLE BTAM, which is the Behavioral Threat Assessment Management Team for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So my job is to get tips from around the state and to identify potential mass shooters before they do anything, intervene, and try to redirect them before it ever happens. Obviously, a big need recently with all of the increase in mass shootings. It's not the only thing I've done in the past. I was a firefighter EMT with the Aberdeen Township Hose and Chemical in Aberdeen, New Jersey. Then I became a police officer with the Savannah-Chatham Metropolitan Police Department, where I served as a Robbery Special Response Team officer. So I would ride around the city and respond to only robberies that were occurring at that moment. We would try to catch the bad guys. So this whole thing's about stigma, right? Nobody knows stigma about mental health more than first responders. Why? A lot of reasons. Public stigma, what is the public going to think about me if I come out and say I have a mental illness? Self-stigma, how can I serve people if I have a mental illness or if I'm suffering? Institutional stigma, how is my employer going to react to me if I'm not healthy enough to be able to help others? Right? A little bit of data here, screen's small, I understand. I just put it there to fill a space, I'm obsessive compulsive. So, some of the statistics. 12th leading cause of death in the United States, suicide. 45,979 deaths by suicide in 2020. Like it says here, deaths by suicide, we don't commit suicide, like Elaine said, just like we don't commit to cancer. This is something that happens to us. It's not who we are, it's what happens to us. 1.2 million attempts, whether they were aborted, interrupted, or failed. I'm not sure if everybody understands the difference between those three. Aborted means that you are going to do it and then you stopped yourself. Interrupted, you were going to and somebody interrupted you. And then failed, you actually attempted, but it did not carry through to death. 93% of American adults feel suicide can be prevented. That's a wild statistic to me because who would have thought? If that many people think that it can be prevented, why do we have 45,979 deaths a year? Because there's a stigma. Little story about a friend of mine, Lieutenant Jeff Olson, with the Savannah-Chatham Metropolitan Police Department. It's going to start off with a little bit of information here. He was lieutenant over the patrol precinct for Savannah. Hostage negotiations team commander with over 20 years of experience. It's a little interview he did.
A cool story today. Obviously, how volatile, scary, tense situations like this can be, and how calm, cool, and collected, even planned out these negotiators must be. The unit itself is made up of 13 highly trained officers, all of them have to be on their game all the time.
Well, I wouldn't consider anything that we do routine. Every situation is different.
And every person they deal with is different. Lieutenant Olson, the commander of the negotiation unit and a vital player in ending that 10-hour standoff last week. Police initially responding to a domestic call. That's when they found Phelan armed with a gun.
A lot of time it is fear. It's confusion. Someone may have made a poor decision in haste, and then it's our job to convince them that it doesn't need to get worse.
The team has to be on point every minute because situations can change just as fast.
You got to know yourself. You got to know when you're reaching that stressful point, that kind of thing. And you've got to maintain control of your own tone, pace, pitch, those types of things. Many times we'll start off with one particular negotiator making an effort, and for some reason or another, that negotiator is just not making the proper connection, and we have to trade out.
SWAT and the bomb squad are always on standby, but the goal is for them to never be used. They will not use force unless they feel it's needed, which means situations like these can last hours, if not days.
Like I said, as long as somebody isn't hurting themselves or hurting someone else, then time is on our side.
These officers have 15 to 20 years of experience. They've gone through hours and hours of training.
There is a compassionate and an empathetic side of negotiating that makes us unique to most major police departments.
And everything is planned, even down to how they communicate.
Our goal is to keep working toward a peaceful resolution.
Okay, Phelan was checked out at the hospital, then he was arrested and charged. The hostage negotiation team, I found out just a few minutes ago, they responded to nearly a dozen different situations like that one in 2015. And I also asked these negotiators if that negotiation works at home with the officers' wives. They told me a resounding no. In the studio, Ben Williamson, WTOC News.
Little background story for Lieutenant Olson. 10-hour standoff. That's a lot of stress. Longest one I've ever done was 5 hours, and I needed about 3 weeks to decompress from that. I had to go home, turn the lights off, sit in my room, not say anything. My wife was a little bit scared, and she's a therapist. Takes a lot out of you. Lieutenant Olson took his life on May 31st, 2016. He was about to retire. I'm not going to go into why. He was a good friend of a lot of people, great mentor. You heard in the video that they were saying that people in that position need to be able to keep a cool head, need to be able to manage their own emotions, and we do that very well. But there's an issue because it's only on the surface, which is why my presentation is called False Resilience. We pretend. It's not the only person I've ever lost. That was a friend of mine. Sarah Organ, Conrad Buckley, not all of these are suicides. These are just friends that I've lost personally. And there was Kelvin Ansori, Joseph Lupus, Jeff Olson, and Anthony Christie. I'm not going to say which ones did end their own lives, but some did. Here's a little run that the Clermont Police Department does every year. We just had our second one. The next one is in March of next year. We got a third. And that is a banner that we had made of every single law enforcement officer that passed for just that year. 640 police officers. 640 law enforcement deaths in 2021. 25% of those were self-inflicted. Removing COVID, suicide accounted for 49% of all law enforcement deaths last year. Those who do seek help, they have a 3% chance of survival or actually continuing help. Why? Because they start, they get scared, they back off because of stigma. Life expectancy for a cop is 59 years. When I retire, I'll be 50. That's if I just do 20 years. That means I'll have 9 years of not doing this job before I pass. Compared to the average 79.56 for what we call civilians. It's not a derogatory term, I promise. So, false resilience, and what I call and others call the battle mind. So this is generally a military term, but I think it applies to most first responders also. It's a little small, so I'll read it to you guys. So the battle mind is a learned set of responses that occur in intense environments, thus will be present with the individual to some degree for the rest of their life. The person reacts instead of acts and uses the battle mindset of responses to resolve the crisis. We say that we resort back to our training, and that ends after law enforcement as well. We're struggling, we're in crisis. What do? We use our training to end that struggle. This photo probably hits me a little harder than most people here, just because I've been in situations like this where we continue to do our job despite people pushing back at us. Some of the things that cause stress in a law enforcement officer's life and most first responders, right? So how do we reduce the stigma? How do we get us, police officers and first responders, to seek help? When did we not become important anymore? Talk openly and learn to recognize your feelings. In negotiations, we call that emotional labeling. So it's like, person is in crisis, you sound really angry. You seem sad. And just putting a label on that emotion sometimes gives that person great release. It gives them that somebody gets it moment, right? Educate yourself and others. Education has been shown to decrease stress tremendously. When you understand what's happening to your body and what stress is and how it affects you, you can manage it a lot better. Be conscious of your language. Not saying commit suicide, they died by suicide, or completed suicide, or things along the lines of when you're at work, you're not going to say that the person is weak or needs to get their head straight. Watch your language. Encourage equality. This is what Elaine's been saying since the beginning, both physical and mental. Why is there a separation between physical health and mental health? They're the same thing. What happens in your mind can absolutely affect your body. And what a lot of people I heard tonight saying, we're talking about childhood trauma, go ahead and research adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. The 10-question quiz, anything over 4, you have a higher likelihood of having diseases, drug addiction, alcohol, suicide, criminology, all that stuff. Simple things like show compassion. And how about normalized treatment? How about you don't wait until there's a problem to go seek mental help? How about you're required to attend mental health situations consistently throughout your career? And then last, empowerment. Let people know that it is okay to receive mental health help. Another little video for you guys. It's on TikTok. I hate to admit it, but I'm addicted to TikTok too.
What's going on, boss? What's going on?
I'm on the phone with the VA hotline.
Okay.
For suicide.
All right. Hey, I got you, man, all right? What branch you in?
Army.
Army? All right. Hey, my name's Kyle. All right? We'll help you out. All right, bud? I'm here with you. I'm here with you, all right? I'm going to start an ambulance over here to us, okay? All right, bud?
I can afford.
Hey, no. Hey, if I send you, it's nothing on you, okay? State of Connecticut covers that. All right? Can we step out of the car, boss? Just so we can talk? 826. Yeah, come to the front of your truck, bud.
820.
Starting an ambulance to the 6-8 off-ramp eastbound. I'm with a vet who's on the suicide hotline.
Here's
Hey.
my ID.
Sorry, man. Hey. You have anything on you?
No.
Okay, is it all right if I check you? Cool. Any deployments, bud?
What?
One? Well, hey, dude. It's a tough time for everyone in your position, all right? Relax, though. Hey, I'm here with you, okay? I'm here. Come on, yeah.
That one gets me a lot. So, and when I say that a lot of law enforcement and first responders have been in that situation, I'm not talking about the cop situation. I'm talking about the vet that's asking for help, except most of them don't get to the point where somebody shows up for help. So who am I? Can anybody in here tell me who I am? Right. Anybody else? Awesome human. Thank you. Awesome. I'm not exactly. Nobody knows who I am, right? So I am a husband. This is my beautiful wife, Lindsay, who might be watching from home. I don't know. We'll see. I used to be a baby, right? I'm human. I started somewhere. We like to travel. It's me, out of uniform. My puppies. I got 2 of them. I also have 2 cats. They'll be on the next slide. Spirituality. We're Jewish. I'm a Junicorn in Lake County, one of a few. Junicorn. So I like to say I treat people based on the content of my character, not theirs, right? We don't prejudge individuals. And if we take these words, which are sort of a play off of Martin Luther King's, want to be treated based on the content of my character, right? Not the color of my skin. Take it a little bit further and treat people based on the content of your character, not theirs, okay? And that's where it harkens back to that photo of that girl screaming in the officer's face. He treated her based on the content of his character, held it together, and didn't react. But holding that in is going to cause major issues in the future. Not recognizing that we're human makes us lose our humanity, right? It makes first responders not love humans like others might or like we used to. I've actually said before, I don't like humans, but I love humanity's potential, and all humans have potential. I do have a few resources and my other 2 cats, which is more important. But I know it's hard to read and you don't have time to write all this stuff down. If you want, come up to me afterwards or take a picture. I will be more than happy to give these to you. These are some that we may have not seen or you may not see regularly, except for 988, which is definitely a phone number you should contact if you or somebody else is experiencing crisis where they may end their lives or hurt somebody else. And that's all I have, guys. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Elaine. Of course.